We share. Oh, take a ride with me.
My mom was a trader. She sold food in the streets. She was very hardworking, and her earnings really saved us when the times were hard. My dad worked as a gate man at a cement factory. My two siblings were living with my uncle's family in Lagos because my parents couldn't fend for us all. I was the only female child, and my parents treasured me like their favorite puppy. I was so pretty and smart. My mom would send me to collect money from customers. I usually made a lot of friends with men that were old enough to be my father. They would promise me money, from touching my breast to playing with my skirt. I got deflowered in the process. Weeks after, I was home alone. I started feeling like vomiting. I was also tired and sicky. I walked to the chemist and told the guy there. He usually makes fun of me. He will always call me his wife when I will run away and close my eye, shy away from him. When I told him how I was feeling, he took me to his inner office and made a direct statement that made me alert. He said, "Nkem, you're pregnant." I told him it was a mistake. I begged him to please help me. I don't want my parents to know. My daddy will kill me. While gisting with my classmates in school, I used to hear that the guy sells abortion pills. I cried, begging and kneeling before him to help me to abort this pregnancy. He agreed to my surprise. He gave me drugs and 4 sanitary pads without asking for a dime. In 5 days, I was having symptoms of nausea, cramps, and heavy bleeding. I had soaked the 4 pads in 2 hours. I was scared and looking pale. He told me never to say a word to anyone. This became a hallmark of a terrible life for me, from parties, to drinking and smoking, from abortion upon abortion, all as a result of my friendship cycle. I was at the peak of losing hope when Andrew found me. Andrew was a bachelor that was gifted with his work and so religious, but found it hard to find a woman in his life because he lacked the charisma for woman. Andrew's friend recommended me to him, and it was just in a few months that an unbeatable form of love squealed from our hearts for each other, and to my wildest imagination, Andrew began making speedy moves to make sure that the wings of time never held him back from having me in his life as his beloved wife. Before I met Andrew, I met my last boyfriend on Facebook, and in 3 days, I was in his bed, sharing what was meant to be for married couples. We dated for 10 years, and I aborted 7 pregnancies for this very guy, while the other 6 abortions were with 6 different men. It was like I was jazzed. Sometimes, I would wonder if what I had with him was ordinary. We were cohabiting, and he usually would abuse me, but I stayed. He had a charm that laid hands on my heart each time I thought to leave him. I finally had to break up with him when a friend with a similar experience shared hers with me. I summoned courage to leave. Not long after, it was at this point that Andrew appeared. We got married. 2 years passed, no pregnancy. Meanwhile, I knew I was not going to get pregnant because I lost my womb during the last abortion. But because of the love I had for my husband, I couldn't tell him my past. Afraid he would dump me. I was just hoping and praying that God would answer my prayers because I believed in miracles. Things began to turn sour for me. I thought that keeping this secret would save my marriage, but I just kept being uneasy. Andrew's consistent prayer made me become restless. I thought within me to just let him know the truth, when he started bringing the idea of going to see the doctor. Since I couldn't face him to tell him this news face to face, I decided to write a letter and dropped it on the table for him to read. This is the content of my letter. Hello, sweetie. Your prayers have made me to finally speak out. Whatever you decide to do with me, I term it the consequence of my sins. This cross I must carry for myself. I have had 13 abortions. I just didn't know how to tell you. I am the reason for our childlessness. I am indeed a murderer by proxy. You don't want to risk your life with a mess like me. Femi, my last boyfriend, I dated for 10 years and I aborted 7 pregnancies for him and 6 more abortions with 6 different men. The last was done by a nurse friend who didn't have proper medical training but had done several successful ones. She tampered with my womb in the process. This was the second time. I hemorrhaged severely, but she was too good. She pulled through successfully. All this happened and no one knew. Please, sweetie, forgive me. That is all I ask. It was in my teary eyes that my husband turned to look at me as I opened the bathroom door in our room. His body thrusted forward as though he was going to come towards me, but he snubbed me, sighed, and walked out of the room, flinging the paper to the floor. I couldn't hold it but dropped into tears. My husband turned to walk away. I begged him, please, don't go away. I begged and begged him. He pushed me to the floor and my head hit the wooden chair. I fainted. I woke up an hour later to the banging of the door by the wind because of the heavy rain that was just about to start. When days had gone by and my husband never returned to our home, I knew that was all for me. I would be a single, miserable woman forever. I became so depressed to the point that I would contemplate suicide. But courage to take my own life has failed. I have gotten over this now. But single for life. I hope my story would teach someone a lesson to remain upright, especially my young female friends. Thank you for listening.